Uh, there might be three reasons why Pope Benedict decided to resign. The first is what he tells us, that he's old. He's 85 years old, and he's in an incredibly demanding job. Most people retire in their 60s. He's kept going for another 20 years in one of the most stressful jobs in the world. So he's old, and in recent months he seems to have shown more signs of ill health. They say that he's walking with a cane once again. There's all kinds of rumors about his health, but he's old, and he witnessed the death of his predecessor, Pope John Paul II, who really for almost 3 years many people would say was dying and kind of lingered on. And Pope Benedict, when he was Cardinal Ratzinger, probably saw that this probably wasn't the best thing for the state of the church. So maybe out of humility, he's resigning for that reason. That's the one reason we know. There's probably other reasons that we don't know too much about. I mean, his 8 years of being Pope have been difficult years. He's had to face a lot of struggles, from internal struggles to external struggles. Some of the external struggles deal with some little embarrassing statements made about Muslims, and he's done better with working with Jews, but within his own church he's had serious struggles relating to the sex abuse crisis that I'm sure have weighed heavily upon him. So that's some internal problems, and there's all kinds of rumors about other internal problems within the Vatican too. It's a huge organization with a lot of egos and a lot of struggles, and we don't know, and probably will never know, all of what goes on inside Vatican City, but probably there's some real tensions there that have said, now at 85 years of age, it's a good time to step down. The rule, he's kind of going to blaze a new process because it's been 600 years or so since someone has resigned like this, but the typical rule is that once a pope dies, then within 15 to 20 days after he dies, all of the cardinals, which is about 120 or so men, are called to Rome to form what they call a conclave. This is where they go in secret and they start discussing a new pope. That's supposed to start within 15 to 20 days after a pope dies, so I assume they'll follow the same procedure of 15 days or so after the Pope resigns. Then they'll call all the popes, or all the cardinals from around the world, to come together. They meet in various places, but most importantly in the Sistine Chapel, to discuss the future Pope. And then they'll go through a series of discussions and sometimes debates. It's all kind of closed to the public, so we don't all know what goes on, but they'll try and pick a new Pope. Usually it goes by vote. Usually the vote is 2/3 plus 1, so it tends to go through a series of votes before they can get some kind of sort of consensus on who will be the next pope. He's already had a lot of influence on the selection of a successor, because one of the most important things that a pope does is he picks this college of cardinals, and those are the people who he works with very closely on important matters, but these are also the people who select the next pope. So he's already picked the people who probably are like-minded people to him, probably of the same spirit. I mean, that's probably why he picked them. And so he's had a tremendous influence then. Of course, there's circulating rumors as to, what role might he play in this conclave, and we really don't know this. He's breaking new ground here by still being around to, help select his successor. I'm sure informally he'll have a lot of influence on who the next pope will be, but I'm not sure how much particular influence he'll have. My hunch would be, with retiring as he's doing now, he's really putting his own life and the life of the church in God's hands. So my hunch would be that he would trust the process of the cardinals to pick the new pope and not get deeply involved. But I've never been there. I don't understand all these processes, and I'm sure he'll want to be part of selecting his new successor. Everybody's talking about these the last few hours really, and we don't really know. There's a couple of prominent African bishops. There's even some from South America that people are talking about. More than likely, I would guess it'd be a person from Italy, or at least European pope, but we don't really know for sure, and that changes a lot. Even when Pope Benedict was elected, he wasn't necessarily the first choice on the first ballot. So that through the discussion and conversation about the needs of the church and where the church is going and what are some of the struggles of the church and struggles of the world, that's how sometimes it can be a very fruitful conversation that leads to sometimes unexpected leaders. So I don't know. I'm with praying like everyone else that the Cardinals pick someone who can lead the church in a happy, healthy, constructive way. I don't know. I would say that Pope Benedict has represented a kind of a return back to Europe, though the church has become more global, and certainly the numbers are increasing in what they would call the Southern Hemisphere, South America, and Africa, even Asia. The power of the church still seems to reside within in Europe, and so I don't know. There's been in recent years more of a conservative move too, which tends to point more to a European successor to Pope Benedict. But maybe as the church is growing and changing, it'd be exciting for many people to welcome an African pope or a Latin American pope. Haven't heard too many people speak of an American pope, but that'd be a fresh new perspective too. My hunch would be that it would be a European successor, but I may be wrong on that. I don't know.